Yeah, it's a Fitbit. Hello friends, today we're going to be taking a close look at the FitBit Charge 5 from mainly a running and fitness enthusiast perspective. The Charge 5 is Fitbit's latest addition to the Charge lineup, which is their mid-tier level product line for casual running, general wellness, and overall activity tracking. The Charge 5 isn't all that new. In fact, I've had this one for a few months now, and I've been testing it day after day, just wearing it for general life, and also on several running activities to test GPS and heart rate performance. That being said, I've actually been putting off making this video because of some of the issues I've run into with the Fitbit Charge 5 in my testing so far when it comes to accuracy. However, at its current price point at around $129 on sale, I've seen it on Fitbit's website and on Amazon and a few other places, it still might be a compelling option for some people as long as you know the limitations of this device, and we're going to talk about all that in this video today. Before we dive in though, if you find this video helpful or fun or entertaining or educational or anything, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos from me in the future, because that really helps me out. Also, if you're interested in picking up a Charge 5, I'll have links in the description down below that will give you the best pricing available from Amazon or other retailers, so go check those out as well. With all that out of the way, let's get into the design and build quality of the Fitbit Charge 5. As you can see, the Fitbit Charge 5, just like all of the older ancestors, features a narrow band-like design, which is a classic Fitbit style, love it or hate it. The case of the Charge 5 is made mostly out of aluminum, as you can see here. However, the back is a bit of plastic around the heart rate sensor, and the back does feature an updated optical heart rate sensor and SpO2 sensor, which we'll talk about later on in this video. Next to the heart rate sensor, you'll find the proprietary charging port for the Charge 5, and the Charge 5 comes with this USB cable. The end of it has this little magnetic attachment and just kind of clips onto the Charge 5, and you're good to go. The Fitbit Charge 5 does feature replaceable bands, which you can replace pretty easily with your finger. You just kind of pop them off with your thumbnail, and the mechanism is pretty cool. It pops right off, and you can buy these pretty cheap on Amazon or direct from Fitbit. In terms of build quality and durability of the Fitbit Charge 5, it actually feels pretty solid in my hands. It's definitely a really lightweight device, but it is made out of metal, so it does feel pretty robust. The Charge 5 is water resistant down to 50 meters, so you can take it for a swim or go for a long run in the rain and not have to worry about it when you're in the shower or something like that. Over the course of testing this product, I've banged it off of doorknobs and rocks while trail running, and it's still holding up reasonably well, although there are a couple of little dings around the perimeter of the screen, but nothing major that's a showstopper. When it comes to the display on the Charge 5, it received a major upgrade compared to the older Charge lineup like the Charge 4. This has a 1-inch AMOLED touch display. 1 inch doesn't sound very big. However, it's quite usable thanks to its orientation being more vertical than horizontal, and the menu system lends itself to this orientation as well. The display on the Charge 5 gets really bright, and it's really easy to read even out in direct sunlight when you're out for a run or a ride or whatever. It's not a big deal in terms of readability. Now, because this is an AMOLED display, it is not an always-on display out of the box. It is a gesture-based display, and that means while you're wearing the device, the display actually turns off until you raise your wrist to look at it, then it'll automatically turn back on. That said, if you dive into the settings of the Charge 5, you can actually turn on always on display mode, but in that mode, you will actually take a major hit in battery life. The Fitbit Charge 5 also comes feature packed with additional sensor capabilities, which weren't available previously in the Charge lineup. Like I said, there is an optical heart rate sensor on the back of the device. However, there is an SpO2 sensor to pick up your blood oxygen saturation level right inside of that heart rate sensor as well. On top of the heart rate sensor, you do have a skin temperature sensor and an ECG sensor, and we'll get into how useful these sensors are a little later on this video. The user interface on the Fitbit Charge 5 is pretty intuitive, and again, it's a pretty big upgrade compared to last year's Charge 4, which I found to be a little bit clunky and laggy compared to this one. Instead, the Charge 5 has been super responsive, it's got a touch interface, and it's well laid out. Overall, this user interface is very snappy. There's really no lag or anything like that when you're swiping between screens or going in through the settings. Overall, it's a pretty good experience. The watch face of the Fitbit Charge 5 features some interesting information. Obviously, you have things like your time and date, but on the left here, you also have this useful gauge that gives you an idea of how close you are to hitting your goals for the day. Swiping left or right from the watch face brings you through the various widgets benefits of the Charge 5. So you can see here, I've got phone notifications, I've got the exercise menu, and this is where you would start a various activity like run, ride, swim, etc. Swiping over again, we've got alarms, we've got timers, then we've got EDA scan, and this is actually a 3-minute long stress management test, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Over again, and we've got the electrocardiogram or ECG sensor, and this is a 30-second test that'll pick up your heart rate, and again, we'll talk about this in a little bit. And then we get back to our watch face. When it comes to smartwatch features on the Charge 5, there isn't a ton to choose from, but there's a few features. For instance, you can see your phone's notifications. This will show your text messages or Facebook messages or emails, etc. that come in on your phone will be displayed here. And if you swipe down from the watch face here, you do have the ability to pay for stuff with the device itself using FitBit Payments. The payments option allows you to store your credit card information in the device itself. So when you get to a 7-Eleven or somewhere when you want to buy a coffee at Starbucks or something like that, you can just tap the device on the credit card machine to pay for stuff, which is pretty useful. In terms of everyday wellness tracking, that's a strong point for the Fitbit devices because that's initially what they were designed to do way back in the day. The Fitbit Charge 5 will cover all of the basics like your step count, your calories burned, active time per day, distance per day, as well as your floors climbed every day. The Charge 5 will also track your sleep, but out of the box, by default, it's pretty basic and it doesn't give you any advanced analytics about your sleep. It's just overall sleep duration. That said, now let's talk about FitBit Premium. FitBit Premium is a subscription-based service that costs $10 per month or $80 per year. And by signing up, it does give you additional features to the Charge 5, like advanced sleep tracking. You also get stress management tools with EDA scan, a readiness score, which is similar to Garmin's body battery, which tries to give you how much energy you have left in your day. And all of this information is pretty useful. However, I find FitBit Premium to be extremely frustrating. It drives me nuts when brands advertise a certain set of features only to find out when you actually buy the thing that you have to sign up for a monthly fee to get the most out of your device. I'm just not into that. That said, you can still use the Fitbit Charge 5 in everyday life and get a lot of valuable information from it without Fitbit Premium, but if you want the most from it, just know that you'll have to add that additional cost for the monthly fee. With that rant out of the way, let's talk about activity tracking on the Charge 5, actually taking this thing out for a run or a ride. In terms of tracking, the Charge 5 comes with 6 built-in activity profiles for running, biking, swimming, treadmill running, weights, and interval training. I found this selection to be kind of lacking. It doesn't cost Fitbit anything to add more profiles. It's literally like a copy and paste in the code to do that, but they really limited this without any additional profiles. I'd expect a device like this to have walking, hiking, or just a general overall cardio profile to catch all those other activities like yoga or whatever that there's no profile for. That said, I think these 6 activity profiles will capture most things that people would use this kind of device for, but it is a little bit frustrating that they didn't add more. When it comes to the activity interface on the Fitbit Charge 5, it's pretty basic. There's 2 data fields, and when you go on a run, it'll give you your total distance, as well as an additional data field that you can tap on and cycle through additional metrics. Unfortunately, these data fields can't be customized. You can't add more data fields to it. It is what it is out of the box, and there's no way to get more information per screen other than tapping on that lower metric to get more information. Now let's talk about the Fitbit app that you would install on your iOS device or your Google device. The Fitbit Companion smartphone app and the website has always been a selling point for Fitbit devices because the ecosystem is pretty polished. The app is well built, it's easy to use, it's got simple menus, and it's easy to understand the graphs and layout. Another perk of the Fitbit ecosystem is that you can also access all of this data from any browser on any desktop computer, as well as your phone in the app. And of course, if you have friends or family using a Fitbit device, Fitbit has a fun way of creating friendly challenges to try to get everyone moving more with step competitions and things like that. And overall, the Fitbit app and website is one of the best features of Fitbit devices, and I feel like most beginners would pick it up with no problem. Getting set up and running is pretty easy and quick. When it comes to battery life on the Fitbit Charge 5, I was pleasantly surprised because this thing is so small and it's got that really bright OLED display on the front of it. I was not expecting more than a couple of days with it. Fitbit claims that the Charge 5 can last up to 7 days as a smartwatch with basic functions, and personally, I'm seeing more like 3 or 4 days depending on use, as I also record a GPS track basically every day, which takes more power from the device. Overall though, battery life is totally acceptable for a device like this, and in its price range, it's pretty solid. Okay, now it's time for the elephant in the room. Let's talk about GPS accuracy. Just like on the previous Fitbit Charge 4, the Charge 5 features a built-in GPS chip, which is great because that means you can track a run or a ride without needing to carry your phone along with you. What I found interesting about about the Charge 5 is that even though it's got a built-in GPS chip and antenna, by default, when you take this thing out of the box, it's actually configured to use connected GPS, which doesn't use that internal GPS function at all. Instead, it actually uses your phone's GPS chip as long as you have your phone on you. I thought it was really strange that they would have a device with a built-in GPS chip, but have it set up to use your phone's GPS out of the box. Why would they do that? Well, after I started testing this device and I forced it to use the internal GPS chip, I realized why. The GPS accuracy on the Charge 5 is not good. It's really bad. I've taken the Charge 5 out on several runs, varying from road to trail to short to long, and I've yet to get any good results from this device. In general, I'm seeing a lot of smoothed corners, which means it's not an accurate corner. If I came up and took a hard left or something like that, I would see more of a rounded corner, and I'm also seeing a lot of straight lines where there shouldn't be straight lines. So it seems like the GPS chip is throwing out a lot of information, and it's kind of connecting dots point to point. Fortunately, you can simply switch the device into hybrid GPS mode, which will utilize your phone's GPS chip instead of the internal end sensor, and that will yield much better results as long as your phone's in a good position on your body to have a good GPS connection. That's sort of a band-aid. However, at that point, you're paying for an internal antenna and GPS chip on this device that you're not using. So yeah, not a great solution, but at least there is a solution. With GPS accuracy out of the way, let's talk about the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the device. Fortunately, this sensor performed better than the GPS sensor. However, not by much. It's not a perfect heart rate sensor. On some runs, I'd get pretty good accuracy from the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the FitBit Charge 5. But on other runs, I was getting less than stellar accuracy, and it seemed like it depended how tight I was wearing the device. If I had a little bit looser, a little bit tighter, some days it would be better, some days it would be worse, and I did a lot of experimenting on what tightness I needed to do to get the best results. Generally, I would say that the heart rate accuracy on the FitBit Charge 5 is okay. I would qualify it as acceptable, okay, and if you're not looking for flaws and you're not comparing it to like a chest belt or something like that, you probably wouldn't mind the accuracy. Here's the thing, I think a lot of these accuracy issues boil down to a flaw that my friend Ray over at DC Rainmaker spotted in his full in-depth review about the Charge 5 a couple of months ago. If you're interested in checking out his video, I'll link it up here because it's a really good video to watch. I'll just summarize what he discovered. Essentially, this device was designed in such a way where if you have it strapped down too tight on your wrist, it blocks the GPS antenna with your skin, which in turn decreases the accuracy of the device. On the other hand, if you wear the device a little bit too loose, you get better GPS accuracy, but substantially worse optical heart rate performance. Why was it designed like this? Who knows? I don't work for Fitbit, but it seems like a pretty major flaw. Okay, final thoughts on the Fitbit Charge 5. Is it good? Is it bad? Who's it for? It's a little bit confusing. On one hand, I like the redesign, and the new OLED display is excellent on the Fitbit Charge 5. It's great to use in daily life as a smartwatch, read your text messages on. It's just a great overall everyday wear. And I also like the small form factor and lightweight, and the fact that it just kind of gets out of the way. It's not a big chunky watch like this Garmin I'm wearing here. It's really minimal, it's not an unobtrusive device, and it collects a lot of good metrics that can give you a lot of value in your health and everyday wellness. Unfortunately, that's kind of where my praise ends on the Charge 5. The GPS accuracy on this device was so bad that I wish they just excluded the internal GPS antenna entirely and left it as a connected GPS device that leverages your phone at a lower price point. On the other hand, the Fitbit Charge 5 is on sale for about $130 at most places, and at that price, it's still a really good everyday wellness tracker for tracking your steps and calories burned and engaging in friendly competition in the Fitbit app. It's still got a lot going on at that price point. So I guess I'm kind of back and forth here. I'm kind of flip-flopping on my recommendation of the Fitbit Charge 5. If this thing was still selling for its retail price of $180 US, I'd probably say skip it. But at its current sale price, if you know what you're getting into and you know the limitations of the Charge 5, it could be a valuable tool for getting in better shape at a really compelling price point. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't have a real definitive conclusion on the Fitbit Charge 5. Yeah, I want to hear from you though. Drop down in the comments down below and let me know, are you interested in the Charge 5 or are you going to skip it? Do you think it's a good option at its current price point? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. And now we've reached the end of this video, and if you're still watching this, you probably liked this video, so go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. That really helps me out, and consider subscribing so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. I would really appreciate that. Also, once again, if you are interested in picking up a Charge 5, check out the links down below because they do help support this channel and they cost nothing extra to you, so use them. That would be great. That's all I've got for the Fitbit Charge 5 review. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!